It's Shark Week this week on The First Layer, and we're going to tell you all about it. Stick around. Hey, welcome to The First Layer. My name's Richard. This is the show that explores the world of 3D printing, and today is no different because it's Shark Week. We're chomping down on a brand new printer from Lotmaxx. This is the Lotmaxx SC-10 Shark right here beside me. This thing is feature packed, and for the price, it's an amazing little printer with all kinds of add-ons that you can add to it without having to upgrade boards and do all that nasty stuff. It's pretty much plug and play. So let's talk a little bit about what this printer is and how it might be useful in your everyday setup. First and foremost, the printer is very easy to assemble. And you can see through some of these videos here how you will have to adjust the bed a little bit, and you will have to make sure you've got the correct voltage. And I'm showing you where all these are in these little video vignettes here. One of the nice things I like about this printer is that it really holds the Lotmaxx reputation. It is a feature-rich machine, and it's built like a tank, or in this case, like a shark. Let me tell you about some of the add-ons that you can get for this printer that don't come standard with it, but they are available through the Kickstarter, which they're doing right now. First and foremost, as you can see, we've got the auto bed leveling. This is a 3D touch that they've incorporated into the front panel. So all you basically do is screw it on, level out your bed, and there is instructions to walk you through all of that. Then all you're going to do is go ahead and start printing. It's with the Lotmaxx software. It is a version of Cura 4.6.1. It is well tailored to this machine. All the prints I've gotten off it have been fantastic. They all look great. I did have a little problem with leveling the bed at the very beginning, and that's my fault. But other than that, once I put the bed leveling system on it, and I dialed things in, this thing worked like a champ, and it still works like a champ. And as many of you guys know, I reviewed the SC-10 a number of months ago, and I'll put a link up in the card above so you can go and check that out if you so choose. Now, some of the things that you can get for this machine. Out of the box, it comes with a single extruder, but it is ready to be upgraded with no hassle. Like I said, you can put the BL Touch on. Then they've got this handy dandy little laser engraving kit. And the laser engraving kit basically replaces where the BL Touch is. You put the laser engraver on there and you start laser engraving. And you can see behind the manual here, I've done a little bit here. So you can see my first test, and this does take a little bit to get used to. This was the predefined Shark logo for the SC-10 Shark. The laser engraver, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you take off the metal bed that is on there, the flex plate. Then you're going to put down your piece that you're engraving, whether that be acrylic or wood. In this case, it's a very thin 1/16, maybe 1/8 inch thick wood. And the laser does a fairly good job. Now, if your wood's not perfectly flat, you'll probably end up with things like this that you can see over here where it didn't quite fill in enough. So that was one of the problems that I had. Now, when I went to do another one of theirs on this side, because the wood's quite warped, you can see that the tiger really didn't turn out. Now, this is one that I sliced from a file that comes on the card. We're going to go through all the files that are on the card in just a second. But the laser, it's a handy little thing to have if you want it. If you think you're going to do something like laser engraving, making coasters, making key tags, it does not use the full width or length of the bed. I believe it's 175 by 250 is the area in which you can legally engrave into. You can engrave on woods, plastics, acrylics, leather, all kinds of different materials. So it might be something that you might want to look into. The other thing about this printer is that you can have a dual extrusion. Now, while I didn't use the dual extrusion kit, it does come complete with everything. It's a bicolor kit, so you're not going to use different materials with this. It comes with everything that you need, including nozzles and all kinds of great stuff, mounting hardware, another bracket to to hold another roll of filament. The one thing that I do like about this system, and I'm just going to pull out this additional extruder, and let me see if I can get into a close-up on another camera here. So you can see here in the extruder, and this is the exact same setup that is on the machine currently. This is a double geared extruder. So putting flexibles through this is going to be a very easy task. So you don't have to upgrade the extruder. It is all machined metal, aluminum, really put together well. Over and above the original SC-10, which was all plastic, as you recall. It also comes with a filament out detection switch, both on the additional extruder and on the original extruder. If you're just going to use it with one material, then you don't have to bother with this kit. Again, this is one of the upgrades that you can add to the machine. Now, I believe the machine just comes standard with a single extruder, and everything that you need for setting this up is everything comes with the printer. So when you want to get the extras for this, such as the additional extruder or the touch, now you are going to have to get their touch, because their 3D touch auto bed leveling system, because the way that it's set up, it's all set up on the front, it's plug and play. And we'll show you a little bit about that in a bit. The laser engraver, as I was saying, again, is another add-on. You can see here we've used it. It just basically plugs into the front, and as soon as it's plugged in, when you turn back on the machine, you can actually see that it's ready to go ahead and start laser engraving. So it's smart enough in the firmware to know what is on the machine at any given time, which is very cool. Now, the other thing I really like about it is that it's got a keypad, almost like an old ColecoVision keypad that you can pull off. So you don't have to, you're not always hunching over to push the buttons, and you can get it right exactly where you want it. I really like this. You can set it up so that you can make sure that you're touching the right spots and that it's responsive to your touch. There is several menus in here. There is the print menu, control menu, and the settings menu. And it just sits in this little cradle on the front of the machine. So it's a nice little added feature. I know that most machines today have this built into it, but I kind of like this. I've actually taken it out of the cradle to use it many, many times. Now, you also get a pair of sexy red shades when you're doing the laser engraving. The laser engraving, you do have to wear these, and you do not want to let this thing laser engrave on its own. You want to be around, keeping an eye on it, because when you're using things like a laser that are burning, you definitely don't want to leave the room in case something should happen. And if something should happen, it could be very disastrous. Now, there is a Meanwell power supply inside this machine. Again, everything is enclosed, as you can see here. It is a fully enclosed machine. It took me 4 screws, and I was up and running with this machine in absolutely no time. So really quick to get up and running with this right out of the box. If you so choose to get some of the add-ons, like I said, my first thing would be to go to the the 3D touch. Getting back to the bicolor for a few minutes, remember that you can only use the same material when you're using a Cyclops-like extruder. The idea behind this extruder and hot end, the hot end itself, as you can see here, all right, so you can see this is the hot end for the dual extrusion. Now you can see there's only one nozzle on the bottom, but there's 2 inlets. So when you are ready, or if you want to use this, you are going to have to open up the existing hot end shroud and replace it with this one. You're going to take the existing thermistor and heater cartridge and put it into this block. So there's a little bit of fiddling around, but it will give you bicolor printing. Now, bicolor printing is not something I do because I really don't have a need for it because I finish most of my stuff. So, but some people like to have that bicolor, and they'll use 2 different colors of filament. In the case that with this machine, when it was sent to me by Lotmax, they sent me orange and yellow, and I haven't opened them up. They're very good PLA, but remember that you are only going to use PLA through this. You're not going to use PLA and another material. You're going to put PLA in both ends of this dual extruder. It's very similar to a Cyclops in a lot of ways. Let's take a look at some of the laser engraving, and you can see here that we are quite far off of the table and we're not doing a great job of engraving what we're doing here. And this again was my fault and unfamiliarity with the unit itself and not being, you know, too familiar with how lasers work on 3D printers. I am getting better though, and we will put it to a test and show you more down the line. During the Kickstarter, I know that you can either get this complete with all the accessories or you can get it with any one of the accessories. It is a little bit of an add-on. Once it's out of its Kickstarter phase, you will be able to buy this machine directly from Lotmaxx. Now, I recommend Lotmaxx products for one, they are robust. Two, they never really break down. I have been using the Lotmaxx SC-10 for better than 8 months. It's my daily driver 3D printer. It has never failed on me. It has never clogged on me. I did replace, as you guys know from my previous review, I did replace the mat that came with it with a piece of glass because I just prefer to print on glass. And this is actually a really good reason why. This particular bed, now, I have done a lot of printing on this. This is metal. It is flexible. I've done a fair amount of printing, and you can see this bed is not in the greatest shape. And this is my fault. You can see I've embedded some material here, and I've scratched up the surface quite a bit. And again, that's my fault for not leveling it properly when I got the machine. And I kind of got it a little too close. So over time, you know, you work these kinks out and you do what you have to do to get the print working. Now, this thing prints amazing. Let's take a look at some of these prints. Here on the turntable, we have our standard benchy, as you can see there. And this benchy came out great. I'm absolutely impressed with the way that this came out. There is no real flaws in that whatsoever. You got a little bit of a spot here where, and it's kind of tough to see in black, but you've got a little spot right here where you can see that it was starting and stopping. But if we look at the other side, that to me is an acceptable benchy. I think it came out beautiful. This is the dog. Now, you guys know that I don't go and let the machines themselves use their G-code. I'd rather cut this myself and go ahead and print it. And this, again, was cut by me off the file that is on the card itself. And this thing came out beautifully. Like, you can see the bottom of that. It's just gorgeous. And last but not least, we have the Lucky Cat. And the Lucky Cat came out great as well. You can hardly see any layer lines in that. Again, this was done at 0.12, I believe. There was a little bit of ringing right here at the bottom. I have a little bit of a problem, but let's see if we can get that a little closer. You guys can see that. But that absolutely looks great. I'm very, very impressed with the way that that came out. Let's have a look at what comes on the SD card with the Lotmaxx SC-10 Shark. You get a bunch of files. Now you'll see there's an old system here and an old configuration. Since this has arrived on my doorstep, this actually had a firmware upgrade. When you get yours, you should have the latest firmware on it. If not, contact Lotmaxx and they will get you the upgraded firmware. So if you go to installing our first file, this gives you the Shark book. And if we open that up, you can see this is exactly the book that we were talking about earlier. And it is just feature packed. And you can see everything right there. These little red areas down here indicate that this is for the 3D touch, the bicolor printing, and the laser engraving. So really, it is plug and play, no additional configuration that has to be done. Everything that you get in the box, spanners, screwdrivers, all the usual suspects, diagonal cutters, scrapers. You get a couple of different holders for the dual extrusion if you decide to go that way. The optional pieces are sold additionally over and above the Lotmaxx. Now you can see how easy it is to put together here. Just a couple of screws on either side and 2 screws to hold on the bracket for the front screen. You're going to be plugging in your motors, which is typical. And then here we have a look at the actual screen information. As we were saying earlier, we have print control and settings, and it is very easy to set this thing up. The book itself really is easy to do and to get through. Gives you a little bit about bed leveling and the proper amount of squish. That being said, as you know, I didn't do the proper amount of squish. I did a little too much. So, shows you how to load the filament. Everything is there. Here's a look at the board that they have on this machine, and it really is very cool. It has replaceable steppers, so you can replace the stepper drivers. The X and Y motors have silent steppers on them, while the Z, E1, and E2 motors all have 4988 stepper drivers on them. I have confirmed that. I have opened up the machine, and really it's not that big a deal. If you want to change them, you certainly can. Now the laser engraving, they give you a full guide. There is some software here. You can download the official software for the Lotmaxx machine to do the laser engraving. As I was saying here earlier, 175 by 235. I did say 250 earlier, but it is 235 is your laser engraving area. Now you do have to adjust the focal length of the laser, and you're going to move the laser up and down with the blank piece of wood on top. You are going to remove that flexible build plate. Once you've got it dialed in, you'll see it actually burning into the wood. And then you just go ahead and slice your model. And then, of course, there's the 3D touch. And you just plug it into the front there. You are going to have to make a change in the configuration file. And I'll show you exactly where you're going to have to do that if you go with the 3D touch. And in all honesty, I think the 3D touch is going to be the big seller on this machine. And then you go into auto leveling. In your in your software, the Lotmaxx software, you are going to have to change the line that says G28, which is home. You're going to have to just add a capital L behind G28. You're not going to put in a G29 in this case, which, as we all know, is the G code for auto bed leveling. This is all pre-set up in their firmware, so you don't have to mess with the G29. Just put that L in behind the G28 and you will be just fine. Now, if you want to go to bicolor, as I said earlier, you are going to have to remove the front shroud. You're going to have to remove the existing hot end, take out the existing thermistor and heater cartridge, and put them into the new bicolor system. Attach the bicolor to the front of the machine. Attach the extra spool holder and the extra extruder, and you are all set. Plug it in, and Bob's your uncle. You're all set to go. You want to make sure that when you are using this, that you do have it on the Lotmaxx Shark and not on the Lotmaxx SC-10. You want to make sure that you are on the Shark for the bicolor printing. Okay, and same thing with any other. And they've got lots of great after-sale service. And then, of course, there's their little QR code. Now, this file that we just looked at is exactly the same as the file that is current, or is exactly the same as the book. So let's go back. We go to software. We can see we've got the Lotmaxx software, and then we've got software drivers as well. I've never had to do the Lotmaxx drivers. Want to go to laser engraving? You can go right here, and let's just open this up so you guys can have a look at the application for that. There we go. So if we're going to import our own file, we can do so. We could also just go over here to where it says import, black and white, gray, vector, or text. Let's just grab one from the documents here, which would be the N, and let's go into models, laser G code. Oh, there's no laser G code in there. Monochrome G code. Nope, that's G code again. Images, that's the one we want to go into. So let's go into the Shark. We'll open that up. And you can see it's quite big when it comes onto the screen. So just zoom out a little bit, go up to the corners, and just grab it and put it onto the bed. Now, down here we are looking at, if we go down to where it says B and W, which is black and white, this is the intensity of the laser. The energy that it's using for the setup is 300, I'm not sure if that's watts, 30 points, and 50 millimeters per minute on the work movement. So it does move fairly fast. It doesn't take a lot of time to go ahead and cut something. Now the type is going to be SC-60. That is the way that it is. I don't know why, but Lotmax was unable to tell me. So you can bring in vectors, you can do text, you can do grayscaling, and you can do black and white. So that is what you're going to get inside that area. Now we go up, and there's troubleshooting. There's a whole troubleshooting guide in here if you run into any problems. So Lotmax has really thought of everything when it comes to this software. And of course, here's firmware. You have the latest. This is 2.15. That is not the latest version. I believe it is 0.216 is the latest version, or 217. And then of course you've got models here. If you go into the model file, you can see that there's bicolor models, and there are also some monochrome models. And like I said, we've done the lucky cat, we've done the dog. I did the baby crocodile, but don't ask me where I put it. So what do I think of the Lotmax SC-10 Shark? Well, it definitely is a bite, for sure. Sharp teeth on this guy. It is, I know, I'm done with the puns on sharks. Sorry. I did even print a shark on here, but my wife took it and I'll never see the shark again. It's an articulated shark. But I would say if you're interested in a brand new printer, this is definitely the printer to have a look at. Or look at its previous iteration, which is the SC-10, which is still available from Lotmax. They do have a few other models available as well. Well worth every dime. They're not on a lot of different websites. So I would go out and check out lotmax.com for the current pricing. Also check out their Kickstarter. I believe there's a link on their website to it as well, and we'll put it down in the description. I would say if you're going to do any upgrades for this, if you're going to buy any of the accessory packs, go with the 3D Touch first. I know I'm a big BL Touch fan, and this looks exactly like a BL Touch, but you can't put a BL Touch on here. You have to use their 3D Touch system. Now, if you're into bicolor, get the bicolor kit. If you are into you want to use the laser, get the laser kit. Otherwise than that, I think straight out of the box, this thing's worth it. It'll print PLA, ABS, PETG, TPU, TPE, so it'll cover those flexibles as well. It does get up quite hot. You're not going to print ABS on this machine unless you are going ahead and going to put it into an enclosure, but you wouldn't normally do that anyway on a machine like this. I always recommend that you buy a printer specific for that, and you guys know I've talked a lot about other printers in the past. Now, it is a single lead screw driven XY, or pardon me, Z axis. So there is no second lead screw here. And I believe that they don't need it because they've engineered this thing really, really well. And the proof is in the pudding, and you can see it in these prints down in front of me. So the printer itself, 5 hot ends out of 5 hot ends. The laser, right now, I'm going to give that 3 hot ends out of 5 hot ends. As far as bicolor, if you're into that, it's definitely well worth it. It is a 5 out of 5 for me. The 3D Touch, definitely a 5 out of 5. And the way that they've set this up, 5 out of 5. So overall, this is a worthwhile printer for you to take a look at. And if you're looking for your first, or you're looking for something to add to your existing collection of 3D printers, you do yourself a great favor in checking out the Lotmax SC-10 Shark from Lotmax. Well, that's my time for today. Don't forget to check out some of these other videos that we've done. And if you are new here, please hit that subscribe button. Go ahead, leave us a comment down below about the SC-10 Shark, what you thought of today's review. And, you know, we don't answer everybody, but we do read all the comments. And we'll see you guys on the next one. We're back Saturday night. Brian and myself answering your questions here on The First Layer. Till next time, my friends, remember that The First Layer is always your foundation to a great print.